DaytoDay diet, has it evolved? I mean, how did you transition? What do you do now? How does that look for you?
Yeah, I was not as hardcore as my husband. I definitely took more of a slow transition. I was also still nursing my youngest when I was going through this transition. And I kind of had this, incorrect notion in my head that I needed some carbs to keep my milk supply up. That idea really only lasted probably about 3 months before I kicked carbs to the curb. So I cut out my raw salads first. That was the first thing that went. The last two things that remained were white rice and some oats. The oats were the second thing to go because I was just like, I certainly don't need these. They're terrible for me after learning everything that I learned. White rice, like I said, that took about 3 months, and then I kicked that. And then I would have small amounts of fruit. That's pretty much gone at this point too. Right now, I usually, depends on the morning. I really pay attention to when I'm hungry, and that's when I'll eat. So some mornings I have breakfast, some mornings I don't. I usually eat my first meal sometime between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., just again, depending on how busy I am at work, what my actual hunger cues are telling me. And my first meal is usually either a ribeye or a New York strip with like a pile of butter on it. Second meal, I kind of go back and forth. It depends if my husband, sometimes he'll cook like those big Costco packs of pork ribs. And if he cooks those that day, I'll have those for dinner. I'll do burgers, ground beef, bacon and eggs. Sometimes I'll add goat cheese to that. I'll make like a carnivore creme brulee with heavy cream and egg yolks. And that's pretty delicious for a dessert. I'll also do some full fat, sugar-free yogurt as well too, as like an ice cream dessert. And sometimes we'll even make homemade ice cream with just heavy cream, egg yolks, things like that. But that's pretty much it. It's pretty basic, and I feel amazing.
Yeah, it's something, and people ask, well, don't you miss the pastas and the breads and all the other things? How do you respond when people ask you about that, or do you?
So yeah, sometimes people do ask me about cravings and stuff like that. And honestly, I was gluten-free, dairy-free, so like all those things free for many years before that. So it was really just like the vegetables and like the few gluten-free grains that were left in my diet. And sometimes when people are having that conversation with me, I have to redirect them to the conversation, which is, how bad do you have to feel before you're willing to give up things that taste good? And sometimes that's enough to get them to kind of reframe their mind, like, okay, yes, this might taste good, but what's it actually doing to me long term? And is it really worth it for me to continue to eat this just because it tastes good? Especially when you know that anytime you're eating a food intolerance, it's 3 days of inflammation before your body can actually correct that and heal it. So if you're eating something like that every single day, you're actually never going to get out of that inflammation debt simply just from your food choices. And then this is how we get chronic disease in 5, 10, 20 years. So again, it's a lot of just the reframing to them to get them to see it in a different way.
Well, and it's not even like, I mean, the food you're describing, you're eating tastes good too. I mean, it's not like you're eating like if you go on the DASH diet or something like that, you mean I'm low salt, high fiber, basically eating cardboard all day long. That doesn't taste good. But this diet actually, I mean, I got to tell you, ribeye steak tastes pretty damn good to me. Bacon and eggs taste pretty good to me. And I think most people would agree with that. It's not like we're suffering over here.
And they never stop tasting good. That's the thing. Like I thought that maybe I was going to get sick of a ribeye, but it's been almost a year of ribeyes and I am not sick of them, right? Like you just don't get tired of it.
Yeah, I've probably, without exaggeration, have eaten several thousand of them over the last few years. And there's not a time where I'm like, I'm never like hanging my head down, oh, I gotta eat another damn ribeye. I've never said that. What about, so here's always the elephant in the room, cholesterol. Oh my God, you're going to raise your cholesterol and you're going to have a heart attack. What are your thoughts around that?
Oh man, my cholesterol panel is perfect. And I actually just had labs done a couple of weeks ago because I've been monitoring this for myself just out of curiosity. And I'm planning on doing a YouTube video actually where I kind of dissect my own labs and go through them. But it's perfect. And I'm not worried about cholesterol on this diet because just eating cholesterol is only about a 20% impact on what your actual cholesterol numbers are. The rest of your body makes, and your body is going to make cholesterol in direct proportion to how much your body needs it. So whether it's trying to use it to go and heal and repair some damage that's already been done, or it's trying to use it as a substrate to make all your sex hormones, there's a reason why the cholesterol is elevated, right? And cholesterol in and of itself being elevated isn't necessarily a problem. And even your LDL being elevated isn't necessarily a problem. We start to see a little bit of concern if the triglycerides are also elevated and your HDL is also low. But if your HDL is high, your triglycerides are low, it's likely not a problem. But if you want to go even deeper, sometimes I'll run like an HSCRP, an oxidative LDL, small density LDL, just to really verify that nothing bad underneath is happening, right? Because again, cholesterol in and of itself isn't bad. It's whether it's behaving badly.
What percentage of your patients that you see today, you know, having gone through this, are appropriate for nutritional interventions?
Oh, all of them. So whenever I have patients coming to me for any regenerative therapies, they basically have a whole online learning platform that they have to go through. And I have a diet module in there that basically teaches the carnivore diet. I don't phrase it in such a way. I tell them it's a way to reduce inflammation, give them enough substrates that they need to actually heal and repair, because hello, we are made of muscle and fat. So you must consume those things in order to repair those things. And I will tell you, about every single patient has about a 20 to 30% reduction in their pain by the time they get to my office, just from those changes. So I think it's appropriate for everybody. Pretty much everybody gets that conversation. They certainly get to watch those modules.
Yeah, that's something I remember when I was first discovering how nutrition, because you know, when I was early in my career, people would say, "Hey, I think when I eat gluten, my knee hurts more." And I thought they were crazy. I was like, "Yeah, you're crazy." No, I didn't believe them. Once I made the connection that this stuff actually does have an impact, I would like, sort of my obese patients, I would hand out like, here's some videos you can watch, here's some books you can read, here's this and that, you know, just kind of low level stuff. It was back before all this stuff was really popular. And I remember with my nurse, I was like, "Karen, can you make 10 copies of this? I think I'm going to hand out these today." And all of a sudden it was like, I was giving them to everybody. I was like, I think this works for everybody. And it was like all my patients, because you think about it, you know, all this joint pain and inflammation I was seeing every day, diet really, really does have a role in that. And it's like, you know, it's almost damn near every patient needs this stuff, which is kind of interesting. How much pushback do you get when a patient comes to you, the new patient, or do they already know coming to see you that you're going to be talking about this due to the social media stuff? Or do you get somebody that's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Does that ever happen?
So sometimes a lot of people, when they're coming to find me now, they find me through social media. I've got a decent presence. I'm not as big as you are, but I've got a decent presence. So people do find me through there, and they realize that they want to work with me because of the results that I get for patients. And when I do get a lot of referrals, they're usually primed. And when I do talk to my patients, I actually initially phrase it like, "Listen, you're going to think I'm completely insane, but just like, hear me out." And normally it gets them curious enough that they at least want to try it. And I always tell them, just give me 30 days, right? Like, give me 30 days of an honest effort. And if you hate it, if you don't feel better, like, kale will always be there to embrace you. You can just simply go back to how you were eating before. And nobody has done that yet. So I feel pretty good about that.
What you know, within the naturopath community, what percentage, and for some reason, I don't know, maybe I think of Dr. Andrew Weil as a guy that seems to have an impact on a lot. And I think if I'm not mistaken, he's out in Arizona too. But what percentage of the naturopathic community is this plant-based thing, or is that much of a thought?
I would say they're mostly plant-based, or at least plant worshiping to a degree. You had my good friend, Dr. Tina on not too long ago, actually. I think her and I and a few of our other people in like our little bubble are mainly on this side. And we receive a decent amount of pushback from the rest of the community. I mean, the president of my previous school was like a hardcore vegan. Plant-based diets are really pushed in school as a way to do that. They will always want you recommending like dairy alternatives to everybody, even though they're riddled with like carrageenan, which is a known carcinogen. Some of them are emulsified with seed oils. Like, it's just completely insane. And it makes me, and then there's also this like arrogance in the naturopathic community that just because we're trained in a quote unquote natural way, that we know better than MDs, without paying attention to the fact that anybody can receive an incorrect education that is akin to brainwashing. And I believe that, you know, MD school, there's a lot of people that are, you know, being pushed by the pharmaceutical industries. We have sponsorships from supplement industries or from supplement companies. There are supplement companies that offer scholarships that like send money to the schools. So would it not behoove them to then push a curriculum that makes us prescribe supplements and push the plant-based stuff? It's just different. And I think that we need to get, like, as a medical community in general, everybody needs to get over their freaking biases and just understand that there's something new out there that you need to pay attention to, and just come at it with an open mind and actually look at the results that are right in front of your face, like thousands and thousands of people healing themselves with this way of eating.